So we usually just use this to scoop up any trash we see. But recently I told my boys, if they're out in the cove on their kayak to pick up any trash, we'll throw it away. But then a friend in law enforcement told us, well, don't ever pick up any of the empty soda bottles or pop bottles because they could be remnants of a meth lab and be very dangerous. They could even possibly explode.
While some folks like the Jenkins are taking that precaution of not picking up bottles out of the lake at all, some people have learned the lesson the hard way. People like Aaron Warren of Johnson City, who got burned when he opened up a shake and bake meth bottle he found here in Boone Lake in 2011.
I work for Boone Lake Association. We were picking up trash along the shoreline over at Rainbow Bridge, and I had walked up on a Powerade bottle, and I would always unscrew the caps to pour the water out where I didn't have to carry water weight. And when I unscrewed the cap, it blew up and landed on my thumb and my forefinger.
Did it burn you?
Yeah, it burned holes in my skin.
Leslie Earhart with the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office gave me these examples of what shake and bake meth bottles look like. Usually they have a white or bluish powdery residue in them, but the best thing you can do is if you find a suspicious bottle in the lake or on the land is to simply leave it alone and report it to local law enforcement.
It is sad that you can't go out and just pick up trash that's along the side of the road to help the community out. You have to be cautious, very cautious.
Along Boone Lake, Chris McIntosh, News Channel 11 in your corner.
5 fire departments battled flames that shot up to 40 feet in the air as fire ripped through a Tri-City strip club.
The call came in this morning around 5 o'clock that the Mouse's Ear Club at the corner of Highway 36 and Bobby Hicks Highway was engulfed in flames. Now, you could see in this photo sent to us by Vicki Stacy, plumes of gray smoke filled the dark sky, and you could see the fire shooting through parts of the building.
Fire crews from Gray, Sulphur Springs, Fall Branch, Jonesboro, and Avoca battled that fire for hours. The club was closed at the time of the fire. When the fire began, no one was injured. As the investigation continues, News Channel 11's Chris McIntosh takes a look at what the employees at the Mouse's Ear are going to do next.
I was sad. I was in bed and I got up and put my clothes on and came up here to see what was going on. I didn't expect all that.
Brittany Bowen could only watch as her workplace for the last 8 months was destroyed. She's among the 25 to 30 employees that worked and danced at the Mouse's Ear.
This is like my second home. I had so much stuff in that building. All my stuff for work gone.
It's something you hear about happening, but something you never expect to happen to you.
Jeff Baker is a DJ at the Mouse's Ear, and while he didn't lose any expensive equipment in the fire, he has lost a job.
I've been coming here every day for almost 4 years and working, and now, I'm supposed to be working tonight.
Both Baker and Bowen hope the club reopens. Owner Buddy Browning says that he doesn't know if he will rebuild, and this would be the second time the Mouse's Ear has burned. In 1994, the club was to open its doors for the first time on September 23rd, but someone intentionally set fire to the building. The club opened a couple of days later and has been here ever since. This new fire now leaves current employees searching for work.
We had 20-some dancers, and then you got managers, bartenders, wait staff, DJs. We're all out of a job now.
In Gray, Chris McIntosh, News Channel 11 in your corner.
Well, a teenager recently had an experience on the Holston River he will never forget.
Yeah, his name Jonathan Clark, and boy is he fortunate to be alive after he slipped and fell in some very cold, very rapidly moving water. This all took place at the Osceola Island Recreation Area. That's just below the South Holston Dam in Sullivan County. New at 5:30, News Channel 11's Chris McIntosh learned Jonathan was brought to safety through the quick actions of a local TVA employee.
I was fly fishing with my dad, and it was a weekend, so we just came down to fly fish, and the water was a little bit higher than what we'd expected it to be.
The Holston River Weir Dam, a prime place for catching trout and where trouble began for 13-year-old Jonathan Clark.
I waded out to that pillar right there and stepped on a rock, and my balance came out from under me, and I slipped, and my waders filled with water. Jonathan
was then pulled downstream by the current, both sinking and desperately trying to find a way out of his predicament.
And I tried to struggle to get a tree branch, so I got one.
But a man on the bridge saw Jonathan struggle and called out to TVA maintenance worker Alan Hawkins for help.
And I heard a gentleman yell that the guys fell in, he couldn't swim, couldn't get up. I hopped on the gator and drove about halfway down the little walking path here and seen him there hanging on a branch.
This is the branch that Jonathan had managed to get a hold of, but he was still in trouble. His water-filled waders had doubled his body weight, and hypothermia was beginning to be a real possibility.
The water temperature is probably 52 or 55.
I was able to get a hold of him and pull him in. His waders was full of water. A little bit more, I don't think he'd been able to get out. It was mighty cold that morning. Jonathan
Lost his fishing pole that day, but not his life. All because of the actions of a humble hero willing to help.
Glad you're all right, man.
Thanks.
You just keep that stuff in mind. Always pay it forward. That's what you got to do.
All right.
Even after taking a tumble and almost drowning and a near brush with hypothermia, Jonathan says he's not going to let this incident keep him from getting back on this river and fishing. In Sullivan County, Chris McIntosh, News Channel 11, in your corner.
An investigation into the shooting deaths of a husband and wife continues tonight in Elizabethton, where police say a shooting happened on Garden Road at approximately 3 in the morning Sunday. As News Channel 11's Chris McIntosh discovered, the shootings left a quiet neighborhood and investigators looking for answers.
On this gray, rainy Monday on Garden Road, only the sound of nearby church bells breaks the silence. But Sunday afternoon, it was a different story outside this Garden Road home.
Once our officers arrived, they did determine that there were 2 people that were deceased inside the home, a male and female, which we were able to identify as the residents of the home, Michael and Melissa Griffin.
Captain Joey Markland says that there's evidence of multiple gunshots being fired inside the home, and a handgun has been recovered from the scene. You're not really looking for a suspect outside of the home.
There's no evidence or information to indicate that there is a third party or any individuals involved outside that are outstanding. We're just trying to piece together information from the scene.
Melissa and Michael Griffin had lived in this home for several years, and the folks that live nearby say they were great neighbors.
I would describe them as the borrow a cup of sugar type of neighbors.
This lady that lives nearby asked us to keep her identity anonymous. She says that the loss of the Griffins has been a great shock to the whole neighborhood.
It's unbelievable, and it brings the neighborhood closer together, I think, but you don't want it that way.
Elizabethton police say they've never been called to this home for any type of domestic disturbance, and now they just want to make sure they conduct a very thorough investigation into this shooting.
We basically want to make sure that the information we release is accurate, and we do not want to preliminarily say anything that would be contradicted by medical findings that we just don't have right now.
In Elizabethton, Chris McIntosh, News Channel 11, in your corner.
The bodies of Michael and Melissa Griffin have been taken to the Quillen College of Medicine for an autopsy.
Well, every year, Good Samaritan Ministries in Johnson City tries to provide a Thanksgiving meal, turkey, and everything that goes with it to hundreds of families here in our region.
And as News Channel 11's Chris McIntosh found out, helping those in need, those far less fortunate, is truly a blessing for both those that give and receive.
These volunteers at Good Samaritan Ministries spent the day loading up cars and trucks with not only turkeys, but complete Thanksgiving meals.
We couldn't do this without the volunteers. They've been here packing boxes. Today they're out in this horrible weather for them on the roads delivering. Many of them are going into deep into the backwoods trying to get the food to the people. 2
of those making deliveries, Charles Ryans and Sherry Casey.
Just wanted to do a good deed and try to give back. It's during Thanksgiving holidays. It should be something you do every day, not just on holidays, but it's just a blessing to give back.
And on their first delivery of the day, the pair were blessed to meet Donna Glass.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you so much. Good Samaritans has been so good to me and blessed me, and you all are too, getting out and delivering it. Thank you so much.
How important was it for you to get this food today?
It was very important. I wouldn't have one to fix.
Hello. Hey.
Hello. How are you?
Happy Thanksgiving.
The next stop was at 77-year-old Ruby Blevins' home. Would you have this food if they didn't bring it to you?
No, I wouldn't have anything.
So this is important to you?
Yeah.
Because of our volunteers, we know that they're going to be fed, so that makes it feel very good.
On this snowy Wednesday before Thanksgiving, more than 2,000 people have been fed by Good Samaritan Ministries in our region, and that's something to truly be thankful for. In Johnson City, Chris McIntosh, News Channel 11 in your corner.